We are here to celebrate the everlasting U.S.-Israel Security Alliance as we pay tribute to the United States Congress for its support of the Iron Dome anti-missile defense system, which has greatly enhanced the state of Israel's defense landscape in the most recent Gaza conflict. Now, I would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge what occurred in Jerusalem yesterday. That was not on the schedule. I would like to ask Rabbi Sheftel Neuberger, who is the president of Ner Israel, to come up and say some Tehillim on behalf of those that were wounded yesterday in Jerusalem in a moment of silence.
המקום ירחם עליהם ויוציאם מצרה לרווחה ומאפלה לאורו ומשעבוד לגאולה השלה בגולה ובזמן קריב.
When people talk about ending foreign aid, I always say, well, why would you end foreign aid? We give Israel $3.5 billion a year. $2 billion of it comes back in purchases of U.S. military equipment, and the rest of it is security we couldn't buy for 10 times as much in that neighborhood.
This is a commemorative coin medal that is being given out to the senators this afternoon, and our appreciation for everything you've done for the Iron Dome.
Thank you very much.
In the summer during the Gaza war that was unfolding, I was speaking to my son, Jason, and I said, you know, there are two miracles that I'm witnessing here. One miracle was that Sisi became president of Egypt and closed the tunnels and the supply source to Hamas, and the other was obviously Iron Dome. And I said, we have a responsibility to come to the United States Congress and to say thank you.
As Rabbonim and others and their students were davening and facing east, in from behind comes these barbaric murderers, not only with guns, but with meat axes, and just kills as many as they can in the act of praying early in the morning, intended to strike not just kill people, but strike fear in the hearts of the Jewish community. The barbarism of this act, to me, I really resented in the New York Times and others where they first wrote about these killings and then said, and Palestinians were killed. In each case, the Palestinians were killed as they were trying to kill Jews. And they mentioned them one after the other with no distinguishing.
Israel must always be able to defend itself, whether it's against horrific attacks in a synagogue or at a bus stop, whether it's missiles coming over, attacking communities like Ashkelon, or preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. There is no right to enrichment. There is no right to nuclear weapons to annihilate a treasured ally.
We'd like to present on behalf of the sponsors here today a charity box. And as you have often spoken about in terms of treasure, this is a treasure.
And Senator Cruz, as my father pointed out to me, the only missile that we want penetrating Israel is a cruise missile.
Well, thank you very, very much. It is wonderful to be with so many friends. Thank you for that very, very warm welcome. I thank my friend Ezra Friedlander for including me and my many friends on the committee, Jason Lyons and Simcha Lyons and Stanley Tate and Elliot Gibber. And I thank each of you for being here. A good friend of mine studied under one of the rabbis who was murdered this week. And to see in the immediate aftermath Hamas and Fatah celebrating and justifying that murder, communicated with crystal clarity to anyone who was paying attention. These are times of great challenge. The threats facing the nation of Israel right now have never been greater. And candidly, the tensions on the U.S.-Israeli alliance have never been greater. And yet we're here standing united behind the proposition that it is vital for American friendship and support with the nation of Israel to remain strong and unshakable.
Iron Dome, David Sling, Arrow, have taken away from Iran or any of their folks that they support, any of the terrorist groups that they support. They cannot threaten to retaliate and think that that threat will affect our decision as to whether or not to use military force against them should they go nuclear, and that makes it more likely, number one, that they won't do it because they don't have a threat of retaliation, which is credible because Israel, with our support, have gone heavily into defensive systems.
Senator Blunt, as he indicated, we go back many, many years, and this is a gentleman who, the day he arrived at the House of Representatives, was one of the strongest friends that the American Israel community has in the United States Senate, and we are very fortunate to have him where he is today in the United States Senate.
And, thanks for coming today to encourage us to continue to do what we need to do to keep this partnership alive and keep the concept of democracy in Israel and democracy in the United States of America alive by the things we do together.
It is impossible to overstress the distress when not even in the formerly Jordanian-controlled part of Jerusalem, but in the Jewish part of Jerusalem within the Green Line, you have this kind of random murder. And you see Hamas celebrate it and people dancing in the streets of Gaza. How can you trust any kind of agreement with people like this? And with American pressure, Abbas says this is terrible with one side of his mouth.
With yesterday's awful attack in Jerusalem, the attack that my colleague Senator Schumer just referred to, we tragically received yet another reminder of the importance of this very relationship, of this very alliance that we have to both countries. And I join with my colleagues and world leaders in condemning those acts of violence.
We need your support very much on the Hill to give a backdrop to the best alliance that we have had with the State of Israel, a country that is very much like the United States in its values.
She once said to me, with education, the United States will be the most progressive, educated country in the world. And she's so right.
And we just want to say thank you. We have visited Israel together. We have visited Israel separately. We know that the Iron Dome works. America is safer when Israel is safer. Israel is safer when America is safer. Those bonds can never be broken.
So as you here today are thanking us, we thank you. Words and actions matter.
When it comes to saying thank you, you can't send a messenger. You have to come and deliver the message yourself. And that is what we have done here today, to thank these distinguished members of Congress, face to face, for all the wonderful work that you have done in supporting Israel.